For anybody who's seen any of my University of Texas content, you'll know that I'm high on Steve Sarkisian. I'm high on him because I think he's a brilliant play caller. I even did a film analysis breaking down some of his plays in the national championship because I always hear people say, well, anybody could have called any of those games with all the talent they had. So I wanted to take a look at the national championship because there was analogous talent in that game. Ohio State has every bit the talent Alabama has, so that argument was nullified, and then it was just scheme, and he shined in that game. But I've always been clear that Texas needs to work on its recruitment and its development because that's going to be the only way you're going to be able to build something that's continuous. But there are a few players in the state of Texas that are absolutely must-gets for Steve Sarkisian and company, and we need to talk about them. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all. So hop down in the comments and give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that Steve Sarkisian and company will be able to land Bryce Anderson, Devin Campbell, or Denver Harris, or all three of them? And let me know why, because to me, these three guys are incredibly important puzzle pieces to the overall work of art that Sark is looking to put together. Personally, I think that they'll land one, if not more of them, but we're going to talk about why these three in particular are so important. Guys, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification as I do constant college football content, player reviews, film analysis, general talk style videos like this. I'm on my push to 5,000 subscribers within my first year of having a YouTube channel, and I'd love to have you along for the journey. But with all that being said, let's hop straight into this, because this is an incredibly important talking point when we're talking the University of Texas, and that is continuity. I'm high on Steve Sarkisian. I've never hid that fact. I think that he provides an electricity, not only in play calling, but in recruiting, that gets kids excited. Look, there couldn't be an offensive kid in the nation that watched the national championship and didn't get excited when seeing that play calling. There's a reason why you saw Texas players on Twitter being so happy, specifically Bijan Robinson, because the scheme that Sark is able to put together is very creative, and Sark kind of relies on this idea that there is beauty in simplicity, and that simplicity is the key to perfection, and it's hard to argue with it because it's not like he's doing super flashy stuff. It looks super flashy, but when you really break it down, he's just killing you off of ingenuity, and ingenuity is king, and now more so than ever in every aspect of life. But Sark's job is really just getting started on the recruiting trail. And what a way to get started when you get a 5-star quarterback, Malik Murphy, to commit to the Texas Longhorns. And that is huge for Sark because that is his calling card, and now he gets to tell every recruit who he goes into their house, I just got a 5-star quarterback, come join what I'm building because he is the beginning of it. And look, when you look at all of the incredible talent that is in the state of Texas, the Sark era cannot begin the same way that the Herman era ended. And what I mean when I say that is Texas lost on massive talent in the end of the Tom Herman era. I'm talking #1 players at their position in the state of Texas, and also top 10 guys in the nation in their position across the board, and they weren't able to capitalize on that. And again, we look at Texas this year, and it is as fruitful as ever with talent. My goodness, you look around, and the state of Texas is absolutely loaded. One of the teams that I enjoyed watching so much last year, Denton Ryan, they lose a 4-star guy, they lose a 5-star guy, they lose talented guys, and they are replenishing with more talented guys. I mean 4 stars, 3 stars. Guys that may finish as 5 stars, and it's not just one. The state of Texas is hyper-loaded, and there are 3 names in particular that I really want to talk about. Bryce Anderson, Devin Campbell, and Denver Harris. And I really want to focus on these 3 guys in particular because to me they embody some must-gets for the state of Texas. Now, as much as a lot of these recruits in the state of Texas are being recruited by everywhere, these 3 guys right now are generating a lot of buzz. Now, Devin Campbell and Denver Harris, per 24/7 Sports, are rated as 5 stars, and Bryce Anderson has generated a lot of hype, and a lot has been talked about where he's a guy where you could expect to move up into 5-star range. He's a top 100 player going into his senior season. He's been making waves in camp, and that's the kind of noise you usually make before you make a rise. Remember, Bama fans, Terrion Arnold was a little bit similar to the Bryce Anderson situation. I'm not comping them as players. I'm just saying, as far as a rise is about to occur, Bryce Anderson's one to watch. But he is a player out of Texas that offers incredible athletic ability, and something that when you add him into a defense, he's able to do a whole lot and be proficient at it. And that's incredibly important, especially to a new coaching staff when you're trying to build talent, to get a guy like Bryce Anderson who can mask a lot of different areas. But probably no recruit in the state of Texas is more important to this class, in my opinion right now, than Devin Campbell. Devin Campbell is so important because the University of Texas has just missed on a lot of their big name offensive linemen in the past few years. And Devin Campbell, being a 5-star tackle, is in primed position to go to Texas. He's crystal balled to Texas, and why wouldn't you? With the recruitment of Jaden Blue, with all the receivers interested in the University of Texas, and Steve Sarkisian being there, and with the incoming coaches that Sark brought with him. My God, we're talking Jeff Banks and Kyle Flood. Kyle Flood just put together the best recruiting class of all time from an offensive line perspective, the best offensive line class at all time for Alabama. And Devin Campbell might be the most important piece for this recruiting class, outside of a 5-star quarterback. That's going to be the most important, especially for Sark to kind of stamp the flag into the ground. But if he can add in with a big-time offensive line class, man, that's a lot of excitement for any top-level receivers, any top-level running backs, tight ends. You get my point. It opens it up. And the last guy that they need to get, who's actually going to be someone that's going to be very interesting to watch as the recruiting process goes on, is Denver Harris. Denver Harris is one of the best players in all of high school football, a freakish corner. But the only thing that makes him so important right now is because this is going to be one of the first head-to-head battles between Texas and its new coaching staff and Alabama and its new coaching staff. And sure, while Alabama is going to be on Bryce Anderson and Devin Campbell hard, the reason I say it's the first direct coaching battle is because Steve Sarkisian took a bunch of coaches from Alabama to Texas with him. However, Jay Valai is the new cornerbacks coach at the University of Alabama, and he just came from Texas. He was just one of the guys working on the Denver Harris commitment going forward. So Jay Valai is already very, very familiar with Denver Harris. They already know each other, and that gives Alabama a really good shot at making this interesting, aside from the fact that it's Alabama, and Nick Saban alone can make it interesting. But now we will get to see a coach on the Alabama roster that already has had a lot of contact with Denver Harris, that now will be working with Nick Saban, and at a university that produces NFL corners like it's going out of style. That's an incredibly important battle for Texas to be in and win. And look, if Texas doesn't win this, I've always been of the mindset it's not the biggest deal in the world to miss on some of the best players in your state. It happens to everybody. Justin Ross was the #1 player in the state of Alabama, didn't go to the Crimson Tide, and then wreaked havoc on the Tide secondary in the national championship game. And nobody's busting Nick Saban's chops over it. The reason is because it's not realistic in the nationalistic style recruiting we see today to land all the best prospects from your state. But my goodness, you cannot continuously lose on the top prospects in your state. The opposite cannot be true. While it might not be possible to get all the best prospects in your state, it is certainly possible to not lose all the best prospects in your state. So if, in theory, Texas loses the battle of Denver Harris to the University of Alabama, they're fine so long as they can continue to make headway. I personally just believe that these three guys right here are super, super important. Bryce Anderson, because of his skill set and how he can do so many different things. Devin Campbell, because you've been missing on offensive line for a while, and this is a great offensive tackle. This is a surefire guy, and you really need to get him, especially when you missed on the Brockermeyers this past season. And then Denver Harris, because it's going to be the first time you see the new recruiting war between Texas and Bama. Jay Valai, former Texas coach, is going to be on Denver Harris with Nick Saban, and then we'll see guys like Sark and his new guys going after Denver Harris as well. So it's going to be really interesting. Guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. I can't wait to hear what y'all are thinking. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed it, drop a like and comment down below because that helps a ton with the YouTube algorithm. That's it. See ya.